Hey, what's up, New York Mets fans? The Bat Frie, Kenny Fry here. I'm gonna try to push through my voice. I don't know if I can, but just letting you know, coming up on the Bat Cave here in about 1 minute, we'll be talking opening day, Mets roster moves, uh, starting rotation, all that stuff, and much, much more. Coming up in about 50 seconds, the Bat Cave. Good morning, New York Mets Nation, and welcome to the Bat Cave. It doesn't sound the same. I just can't do it. I don't know if you can tell. I'm sure you can. If you've seen the show before, you know what I usually sound like. I am struggling. I've had a sore throat for about 2 weeks now, and I'm just trying to push through because I've done one show in 2 weeks, in about almost 2 weeks, and that was a wrestling show this past Saturday, and I struggled, and I'm struggling now, but I'm going to push through because I want to talk Mets baseball here. I want to talk sports. I have all sorts of notes. Got to get to it. So we got a comment here from our boy Adam Glenn saying, "What's up? What's up? What's up, Adam Glenn?" All right, let's kick the show off. I'm gonna do the best I can. I'm going to try not to cough into the microphone. There's going to be coughing, no doubt. I'm straining right now just to talk, but yeah, we'll see what we can do. And it's not going to be a long episode. I'll tell you that right now. I don't know how much I'm going to be able to do. All right, so we're going to start it off with some big news. Seems like forever ago now, but the Mets signed JD Martinez. It's just a 1-year deal, $12 million. I do believe I heard that $7.5 million of those of that contract has been deferred to I don't know what it was, but for some reason I thought I heard 2030, but I don't know if that's true or not. So hey, we got our big bat, our protection for Pete Alonso, our big DH. So that's really, really exciting. I was super surprised when I seen the Mets sign him, just because it got so late. Vientos was working pretty much all spring there. He was working in the field some as well, but it looked like we were going to go into the season with Mark Vientos as our DH, which, to be honest with you, I was fine with. It wasn't, it wasn't the greatest option, but you got to see what these young players have. You got to see what they're made of. You got to see, are they going to pan out? Are they going to be able to turn it around? After struggling last season, did finish a little bit stronger, but still overall a poor season last year from Mark Vientos at the major league level when he did get the opportunities to play. So I'm a firm believer, and you got to see what you have in your system. And when you sign somebody like JD Martinez, it kind of hampers that. But on the other side of that, as a Mets fan, I want to see the Mets win. And with Mark Vientos hitting 215, and occasionally hitting a home run, that ain't gonna cut it. When you have JD Martinez hitting close to 270, I think 270 something last season, 30 plus home runs last season, that's gonna cut it. That's what you'd like to see. That's what you want. That's what you want out of your DH, a professional hitter. As far as I know, the guy can't play the field at all. But from everything I've heard, there's somebody on the Mets right now played with JD before, and I can't remember who it was. I don't think it was Bader. I don't know. I'm not sure who it was. but said that JD Martinez is a professional hitter, is the smartest hitter he's ever been around, this, that, and the other. So really excited to have JD Martinez. Again, I didn't think it was going to happen, but here we are. So the Mets, they have to option JD down to AAA just so he can kind of ramp up because he had no spring training, no at-bats, just so he can see some live pitching and get ready for the season. So he'll miss like the first 10 to 14 games or so. They do expect him potentially to be back for the series with the Braves. I guess he can be called up. I think it's the last or second to last game against the Reds in the Red Series. They're at the Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati. But they're more likely to, instead of using him for one game in Cincinnati, more likely to bring him up and just have him start in Atlanta, which is a huge series. I know it's April when that series is going on, early April, but still, it's still a huge series. Kind of sets the tone for the season. We got a comment here. Adam Glenn, who will win the division, Phillies or Braves? I think the Braves will, but I think the Phillies are going to be really close to them this year. I think it was big for the Phillies to re-sign Wheeler and definitely re-sign Nola. Nola was up this year. He was a free agent for a little bit. But to extend out Wheeler also, I think that was pretty big. Besides that, I'm not 100% sure, Adam, what the Phillies did with their roster. Besides, like nothing right now is coming to the top of my mind. What if you know, Adam? Go ahead, put out there what else the Phillies did on their roster, who they signed, who they lost. I know they lost Rhys Hoskins, but he didn't play last season anyway. And I bring up Rhys Hoskins because the Mets will be playing the Brewers to open the season tomorrow, and that's where Rhys Hoskins is. And I was really hoping the Mets would go after Rhys Hoskins. It cost a lot of money, but he's in the prime of his career. He is coming off ACL surgery. Big stick though. Can platoon with Pete at first base, but unfortunately didn't. The Mets didn't make any moves at him, which moves for him, which whatever, it's fine, no big deal. That was like a pipe dream anyway. So with the Mets signing of JD Martinez, what do you do with Mark Vientos? So when I first seen it come across the wire, my first thought was, I wonder if Vientos is just going to be on the bench, and he's going to platoon at third with Brett Beatty. Excuse me. I'm going to do the best I can here. So I thought that's what I thought. I thought at first he's going to platoon at third with Brett Beatty. He did play a little bit of first base as well, so he could kind of platoon there with Pete a little bit too, kind of give him a break from the field as well. And so that was my first thought. And then I seen that JD was going to be optioned down to AAA just so he can get ramped up and ready for the season, see some live pitching, this, that, the other. So at the very least, they'll keep Mark Vientos up until JD comes up. Then they announced that they're going to option Mark Vientos to AAA and at the beginning of the season. So it didn't make much sense to me as to why would they not keep Vientos up for those first 2 weeks until JD can come up. I'm not really sure why they wouldn't do that. But I mean, he does get the everyday playing time then down in AAA, where if he came up if he stayed up with the Mets for the first 2 weeks until JD was up, there's a chance that he wouldn't get that everyday playing opportunity. He'd probably be sharing it with a DJ Stewart or whatever. So I get it, but I still don't understand it. I kind of understand it, but I don't know. Hey, Cowboy Dave checking in. What's up, Dave? You can check Dave out. He was on last night, extra innings with Joe. I couldn't get Joe out of my mouth. With Joe from Joe Sullivan from the Sully Squad. Extra innings made its triumphant return last night. Terrific show last night, guys. And Dave is also on Wednesday nights with Dem 215 Boys with Paul. talking Cowboys football, and also with myself and Eddie Prather. And sooner or later, we're going to get Adam Glenn on there as well. On Saturday nights, the Atomic Drop podcast, talking professional wrestling. And speaking of Atomic Drop podcast, real quick, I'm going to put this out here before I forget to. But there's a special episode of the Atomic Drop podcast this Friday night, 9 p.m. We're going to have Kelly Slaughter on with us. Myself and Paul are going to talk to Kelly Slaughter. She's the daughter of WWE Hall of Famer Sergeant Slaughter. If you're a wrestling fan from the 80s, early 90s, you know who Sergeant Slaughter is. If you're a G.I. Joe fan, a cartoon fan from the 80s, you know who Sergeant Slaughter is, right? He just also had a biography on A&E just recently, a terrific biography. Can't wait to talk about that with her. And I also have a couple questions about Sarge as a dad. So can't wait to talk to her this Friday. I'm hoping that me doing this today is going to break up whatever I got going on in here so I can talk somewhat normal on Friday. But we'll see what happens. All right. So back to the comments real quick. Adam says, I think pitching will hurt them. Walker is in AAA. So they must have optioned Taiwan Walker down. I know he really struggled back half of the season, I believe, which is one of the things that I said he would do when the Phillies signed him. I said with the Mets, terrific first half guy. After the All-Star break, around the trade deadline is where it starts going downhill for the guy. So it's a shame. Dave says Mets versus Brew Crew. Let the season begin. Yep, tomorrow the season starts. Mets Brewers at Citi Field. Then the Tigers come in at Citi Field. Then the Reds go to Cincinnati, and then they go to Atlanta. That's the first four series of the season. Super excited to get the season underway, see how these new pieces kind of mesh. A revamped bullpen, revamped pitching staff. It's going to be a lot of fun. Excuse me. Again, if you're just joining me now, I apologize for my voice. I've had a sore throat for about 2 weeks now. I've only done one podcast in 2 weeks. I missed last week's Bat Cave, last Friday's Silver and Black Layer. I was going to do it Monday. Monday was even worse for my throat, so I couldn't do it then. I was debating on not doing this just because it felt so terrible, but I got to push through it. I have a freaking notebook full of notes here from Silver and Black to the Bat Cave, and got to do it. I got to push through it here. All right, so let's talk a couple roster moves with the Mets that the Mets have made. Closing up spring training here. Then, like I said, they sent Mark Vientos down to AAA, G-Man Choi down to AAA. They traded Austin Adams, a right-handed relief pitcher, to the A's for cash considerations, whatever the hell that means. They DFA'd Phil Bickford, so we'll see where he lands. Right-hand pitcher Shintaro Fujinami, he was sent to AAA, which is something I heard all the experts saying that was probably going to happen no matter what, because he does have an option. We can send him down and then bring him up later. I guess he didn't pitch great. I guess he was having some control issues, and you weren't really seeing the velocity that you wanted to see out of him yet. So I think you give him a little bit of time down in the minor leagues, a few more weeks, see how he's going then, see if he has, his control down, see if that velocity's up, and we'll see where he goes from there. Tomas Nido, I believe, was sent down to AAA. Jose Iglesias. The Mets released Luke Voigt, was an offseason acquisition, late offseason, I believe. I think it was either right before spring training or right near the beginning of it. Jose Budo, Joey Lucchesi sent down to AAA. Relief pitchers, Reed Garrett, Grant Hartwig, down AAA, I believe. So there's some roster moves, at least the notable ones anyway. Of guys that were sent down. Guys that made the team, we had Zach Short, who was a big surprise, kind of came out of nowhere. He started off spring training really struggling. I think he started off 0 for his first 6 or whatever, which, whatever. That's 0 for 6 is nothing. But, the rest of the spring, he was on fire. I think he had 1 or 2 homers, but his average, it was like in the mid threes, I think 350, 360, somewhere around there. And I think he stole a couple bases as well. And just really, really played well. Native New Yorker, Mets fan growing up. His whole family are Mets fans. So congratulations to him. It was kind of like a bittersweet day for him. He finds out that I don't know what he found out first. If he found out his grandmother passed away and then he found out he made the team, or if he made the team and then found out his grandmother passed away. But either way, kind of a bittersweet day. He loses his Meemaw, and then he makes the team. So, condolences to Zach Short and his family, but also congratulations. Hopefully, he's up and he makes the most of it, and most of his chance. And it'd be a really cool story if he's able to get a decent amount of playing time and really show out this season. That'd be pretty cool to see. So, got a comment here. Too much softball yelling, big man. No, dude, I'll tell you, it was not this past Friday. The Friday before, I started getting a little tickle in my throat. Saturday was even worse. And then Sunday I woke up and it was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. My throat was terrible. I didn't feel good. Went to work, made it through work. Monday, Tuesday, throat was on fire, but I felt fine. I didn't feel sick at all. A lot of congestion, but besides that, I felt good. And it's just been like that ever since then. It's been a sore throat ever since then. I didn't do the back cave last week, like I said. I didn't do the silver and black layer. I did do the atomic drop with Cowboy Dave and Eddie Prather. And, I made it through all right. But then Sunday was a struggle. Throat was really hurting. And then Monday, I was going to do the silver and black layer to make up for last week. I couldn't do it. There was no way I was going to be able to do it. I didn't think I was going to be able to do it today. But I said, I have to push through and see if I can break up whatever I got going on here so I can do our big episode of the Atomic Drop podcast on Friday. A couple more comments here. We have Eileen check it in, and she is right. It is sore throat or not. It's hump day. What's up, Eileen? Thank you for checking the show out. Thank you for commenting. Baseball is back tomorrow. Good luck to your Yankees. And good luck to everybody's team out there. Dave, Cowboy Dave, Adam Glenn, you guys check it in. Good luck to the Phillies. I hope they lose every game. So there's that. So that was roster moves. Let me move on here to injury updates. There's a little bit of an update on Kodai Senga. He could start throwing in a few days. Doctors have cleared him to start throwing, and they're expecting his return maybe late May, early to mid-June, somewhere in that area. I would think probably closer to June, mid-June, maybe get a start or two in. 2 or 3 starts in before the All-Star break, and then see how he's feeling after that. You have to be very careful with him. We don't want to push it too hard. Then he comes out with a torn UCL or whatever, needs Tommy John surgery, and all of a sudden you lose him for a couple seasons. So that's the last thing we want. Sorry. Max Kranick, who was brought in this past offseason to compete for that final pitching spot in the rotation. Hurt his hamstring. He has a hamstring strain. So he'll start the season on the injured list, and then he'll probably go to AAA and start there, I would assume anyway. David Peterson started throwing bullpen sessions, recovering from his surgery to repair a torn labrum in his left hip. They're saying he could return late May after his 60-day injured list time is up. So it's good to see David Peterson. I know a lot of people are high on David Peterson, even though he struggled mightily last year. They're really high on him because they're saying this stuff is very good. I'm more of a Tyler McGill guy. Tyler McGill, spring, I'd say 75% of it was fantastic. The last 25% was like, Jesus Christ. That's what it was. So we'll see what happens there. Those are your injury updates. Got a couple more comments. Richie checking in. What's up, Rich? He says, let's go Phillies. Mets suck. You suck, Rich. Thanks for checking the show out, buddy. Thank you for commenting. Good luck to your Phillies. Eileen says, weather is iffy tomorrow here. They said might be better playing Friday. I know today here in Central PA, they're calling for spotty showers. It's mostly Eastern PA. But I don't know about Thursday. I have no idea. Actually, today is my daughter's first game for junior high this season, 8th grade year. So I'm excited to watch her play. And that's my opening day. I'm excited. It's going to be chilly. That's all I know. All right. So moving on from the injury updates to opening day roster and my projections for some of these players, your normal everyday type players. Excuse me. So looking at the roster, fielding wise anyway, of course, catcher will have Francisco Alvarez as your starter, Omar Narvaez backing up, Pete Alonso at first base, DJ Stewart can fill in there as well. Second base, you'll have Jeff McNeil, of course, and Joey Wendell there to back him up. Shortstop, Francisco Lindor, and also Joey Wendell. Third base, Brett Beatty. Zach Short can fill in there as well. I don't know if Zach Short can play any first base or not. But he's also there to back up Brett Beatty. It's to push Brett Beatty. I thought Brett Beatty had an all right spring training. Started off kind of slow, but I thought he played well towards the middle towards end. So we'll see what happens there if we can carry that over. Left field, Brandon Nimmo will be starting on left. Center field, Harrison Bader. Right field, Starling Marte. And, of course, Tyrone Taylor will be there shuffling around as well. And that's always going to be changing. That's always going to be moving. You'll be pulling Starling Marte out to give him a break so he's not getting hurt all the freaking time. Depending on who's pitching and how guys are hitting, you could see Tyrone Taylor in left field, Nimmo back to center, or vice versa. Nimmo staying in left, Tyrone Taylor in center. Excuse me. So it's going to be interesting to see how they work the outfield as well with matchups and stuff. DH, I'm assuming you'll have DJ Stewart to start there. Start the season off until DJ Martinez is called up. I assume it'll be DJ Stewart, Zach Short, kind of rotating there. So you figure your bench, you'll have Zach Short, Joey Wendell, Tyrone Taylor, and Omar Narvaez. That's what the bench, I think, looks like, and DJ Stewart as well. So as far as projections, this isn't based off anything scientific. I am not a scientific man. I am not a scientist, nor do I claim to be a scientist or some sort of baseball projectionist. Or what's that? Pontificator. There we go. That's a cool word. They use that in the movie Groundhog Day, one of my favorite all-time movies. I love the movie Groundhog Day. Whenever it's on, I gotta watch it. But when they're reading the scroll for when the groundhog comes out, he uses the word pontificator. I believe he does anyway. At least that's what I hear. I could be saying it all wrong. I don't know. But Francisco Alvarez this season, I'm really worried about Francisco Alvarez. Kind of a shaky spring. He looked great defensively throughout quite a few runners, stealing, and so that's exciting. But at the plate, I'm a little bit nervous for him. I have him hitting 230, which I think is kind of high right now. 25 homers, 68 RBI. So that's what I'm thinking. Francisco Alvarez. That's what I'm hoping from Francisco Alvarez. I got a couple more comments. Cowboy Dave wants to know who's starting for the Mets tomorrow. Jose Quintana. He will be starting for the Mets. He had a good season last year after he came back from his injury, and pitched half the season. Spring-wise, he had ups and downs, but yeah. Adam Glenn says, "Go Blue, good luck." Go Blue Mountain, yes, that's my daughter's school. He said, "Good luck, M." Thank you very much, Adam. Eileen says, "Better dress warm with that cold you got. If it's outside, well, it's definitely outside, and it's up in the mountains, so it's gonna be windy, it's gonna be cold, and I will be bundled up." And it's like I feel fine. I don't feel sick at all. It's just a sore throat, a little bit of a runny nose. I just can't shake it. Cowboy Dave says, "Let me talk to you." Yeah. And Rich Yao says, "We want Cody." Rich Yao must be a Cody crybaby. That's wrestling. If anybody's familiar with those storylines in WWE right now, Rich Yao and Dave Yarnell are Cody crybabies. So anyway, back to my projections. Pete Alonso, I think, is gonna have a big year. It's a contract year for him. He hit really good in the spring. There were reports that he was very embarrassed about his batting average last season. So it's something that he's really working on this year, working on getting more walks as well. So that's good to hear. That's all good stuff to hear. And so we'll see there. I have Pete hitting 265, 41 home runs, 121 RBI, which is a really good season. Jeff McNeil, I wasn't sure where to go with Jeff McNeil. He didn't do anything in the spring. I'm not even sure if he got a hit in the spring or not. He was hurt the first almost more than half of it. But anyway, Jeff McNeil, I have finishing at 295, 15 home runs, 44 RBI. I think the home runs are kind of high. The average, he finished the season off pretty strong last year to get his average up in the 270s. So if he continues that, I could see him pushing over 300, but I'm not sure. I don't know. So I went with 295, home runs 15. I'm like, that's kind of high, but I went there anyway. The hell with it. I don't know. Like as I said, it's not scientific. Shortstop Francisco Lindor. This one is a big one for me. I have him hitting 277, 38 home runs, 110 RBI with 30 stolen bases, 30 plus stolen bases. And I have him, potentially pushing for MVP votes. So we'll see what happens there. Terrific in the field as always. Brett Beatty, like I said before, I think he's going to have a much better season, a bounce back season. Nothing terrific, but good. I have Beatty hitting 240, 20 home runs, 58 RBI. I think he's going to find his power. He's going to find his pop this year. Brandon Nimmo, I have hitting 269, 17 home runs, 70 RBIs. It's like your typical Nimmo year anyway. Harrison Bader, I have hitting 230, 8 home runs, 30 RBI, 20 stolen bases. Starling Marte, I have hitting 250, 13 home runs, 50 RBI, 20 stolen bases if he stays healthy. Tyrone Taylor, I've hitting 245, 6 home runs, 30 RBI, and 15 swipes. And DJ Martinez, I have him hitting 265, 27 home runs, 80 RBI. So those are my projections. Again, nothing scientific. I pulled it out of my ass, and that's where it's at. A couple of comments. Let me get through them here. Rich says, "Do you want Taijuan Walker back? That guy is effing trash." I'll take him back for the first half of the season. I said that last year when the Phillies got him. I said the first half, he won't be bad. Second half, he's going to be terrible. And I think that's kind of how he did it for the Phillies last year. I made it pretty much the first half, not bad. Second half, down the stretch, terrible. So, and no, you can have him. And we got Sully checking in. What's up, Joe? Happy opening day week. Absolutely. You can check Joe out on a Sully Squad on Mondays. And then also, like I said earlier, Tuesday nights, extra innings with Cowboy Dave, talking all Major League Baseball. Glad to see that show back. Great show. Excuse me. I'm battling here, guys. I'm battling. I'm pushing forward. So as a batting lineup, your starting lineup, offensively, what could it look like? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how they do it. So for me right now, I haven't seen anything saying this is our batting order or anything like that yet. But if I had to guess, this is how I would do it. Excuse me. I continue to have Nimmo leading off. I'd go Nimmo, Marte, Lindor, batting third, Alonso cleanup. And I'm just talking opening day here now. Alonso cleanup, Francisco Alvarez fifth, Beatty sixth, McNeil sixth, Beatty seventh, eighth. I would go with DJ Stewart or Zach Short, whoever the DH is, and batting ninth, I would have Harrison Bader. But once JD Martinez is up, that's going to switch some things up a little bit. I would put Martinez batting fifth behind Pete Alonso. I'd push Alvarez back to sixth. Maybe even move Jeff McNeil to the 2 spot, move Marte back to 7. Maybe switching those guys around a little bit. We'll see what happens there. But of course, leaving Bader batting ninth. And who am I missing here? I'm missing somebody, but you get the gist of it. It seems like I think Nimmo's going to lead off. I do see a potential of Lindor leading off as well. So I wouldn't be too surprised if they kind of tinker with that this year as well, having Lindor lead off and kind of jumble after that. Lindor, maybe Nimmo after that. Alonso third. Maybe Alvarez fourth, Martinez fifth, or Martinez fifth, fourth, Alvarez fifth. Stuff like that. There's a couple different ways that they can play this. Nimmo's been your leadoff guy now for a couple seasons since he's been up, basically. And he's done all right with it. He's done well with it. But he needs, last season, did draw the walks, but I feel like he wasn't consistent. It came in bunches, bunch more strikeouts. He needs to see more pitches. A lot of early swings last year really put him in some trouble, and also led to a lot more outs for him, not being in the hitters count and all. Give me a second here. Holy cow, I'm struggling. Excuse me. All right, so that's what I think the potential lineup could look like. Looking at our starting rotation, it looks like we're going to have Jose Quintana as our 1, which not a 1. None of these guys are really 1s, I guess. I mean, Luis Severino, I don't know if he's ever been a 1 or not. I know he's had some decent seasons in the past, but so you have Jose Quintana as your 1. I think Luis Severino might be your 2. Sean Manaea, who had a pretty good spring, will be your 3. Adrian Hauser 4, and Tyler McGill as your 5. And that's what it looks like. I think that's what your starting rotation for the first few weeks is going to look like until things kind of get figured out. Do they call Budo up early if McGill or Hauser's struggling? Budo had a terrific spring. Lucchesi takes a little bit longer to get ramped up, with all of his past injuries and such. They don't really push it too much with him. But do we see Lucchesi? I don't know. I'm thinking if McGill and Hauser do struggle to start the season, the first month, going into May, because there is a deadline in May where if you bring up, if you call up prospects after a certain time in May, that it's a way of saving money, or they save a year, like you don't lose a year of eligible control or something like that. I'm not sure what that date is, but after that date, I wouldn't be surprised if you see a Lucchesi or a Budo and one of those guys either sent down or something else. I don't know, DFA'd or optioned. I don't know. But if Hauser or McGill are struggling, the first month and a half, I would not be surprised if they cut the cord and go with the younger guys. See what they got. Like I said earlier at the beginning of the show, I'm all for putting your younger guys in, calling your younger guys up, see what you got, and move on. If you got something good there, that's terrific for your team, either as a positional player or pitcher. That's great for the team, or even for as trade bait. So then again, if they get called up and they do crappy, that hurts the team. That also hurts, trade stock. So you gotta take the good with the bad, right? Got a comment here before I talk about the bullpen. Dave wants to know, is Diaz healthy and ready for the closer spot? He is healthy. I'd seen him pitch twice in the spring, and he looked phenomenal. He looked absolutely phenomenal. The miles per hour were there. His breaking pitch, I don't know, was it a splitter or a cutter? I don't remember what it was. It looks fantastic. I think it's a splitter. he looked filthy. I think he did give up like 1 or 2 runs in the spring. I think 1 run, but he looked good. He looked good, and when those trumpets hit, Citi Field's going to lose its mind. So speaking of bullpen, Dave asked the question. Let's talk about our bullpen. So the bullpen looks like, as far as I know, I think I got all the correct names here. Michael Tonkin, a righty. Sean Foley, righty. Drew Smith, who had a really good spring, righty. Johan Ramirez, righty. Jake Diekman, lefty. Jorge Lopez, righty. Brooks Raleigh, a lefty. Adam Ottavino, righty. And, of course, Edwin Diaz as your closer. It's going to be interesting to see who they use as a setup man. I think that's just going to be an ever rotational type of thing. I don't think that's going to be any set guy. You might see Ottavino do it for a time. You might see Raleigh doing it for a time. Hell, you might see I don't know, Drew Smith doing it for a time. I don't know. Yeah. But it's going to be interesting to see who's going to be the setup guy for Diaz. And like Dave said, asking if Diaz is healthy, I'm really curious to see how he does do when he gets out there in that pressure situation of closing out a game, and how his legs respond to that. There's a different kind of feeling when you're out there in front of the packed home crowd instead of like 2,000 at a spring training facility. Now you're in front of 30,000. And it's 2-1. Pressure's on. Heart's pounding, legs are kind of shaking a little bit from the adrenaline. How does his body respond to that? I'm really excited to see how it works out. If he's healthy, that's going to be huge for our team and our bullpen. All right, so we'll move on to the final topic of the day. And excuse me. And it's my top 10 list. And so it's my top 10 things that I think could happen in 2024. I'm not saying they will happen, but there's a possibility of these things happening in 2024. These are things I'd like to see happen for the most part. I think all of them are. And we'll see what happens. So, of course, doing the top 10 list, you start at number 10, right? Well, let's go. Number 10. The Mets will make the playoffs. That's something that could happen. I'm not saying it will happen, but if everything works the way that it should, the lineup is virtually the same. There's a couple different spots, but all the big names are there. If Marte stays healthy, if Beatty produces like we know Beatty can produce, JD Martinez does JD Martinez type things, right? Pete Alonso raises his average like he says he's embarrassed of his average last season. He raises that average. Jeff McNeil hits like the batting champ he was the season before in 2022. Francisco Lindor continues doing his thing and raises his batting average. Starting pitching. Now, there's a lot of mixed match pieces in there. Most of those guys really struggled last 2 seasons, but they've had seasons in the past where they've been really, really good. If they pitch to their ability, if they pitch to what they can pitch, or even close to it, our pitching staff is going to look much better. And once we get Senga back, and Senga's, the same Senga as last season, that's only going to make it stronger. The bullpen, which is one of a huge letdown last season. If the bullpen, which again is just lots of different project type players, guys have struggled recently. But after all these additions, you kind of look at it, see it take shape. Looks pretty good. Raleigh, Ottavino back, who had a down season last year for himself, but still, it wasn't a terrible season for a relief pitcher. Edwin Diaz coming back off injury. If he's the same Edwin Diaz as he's been, his whole career. Jake Diekman, a terrific pitcher. Who else we got there? Drew Smith. If he continues pitching the way he did in the spring, fantastic. Guys like that. We've seen glimpses of it. We've seen glimpses of Minaya returning to form of what he's been in the past. Luis Severino, I think his ERA's under 2 in the spring. Again, it's only spring. I get it, but it's encouraging. If all those things happen and all those things are clicking, the Mets can't push for a wild card. I have no doubt they're not going to win the AL East or the NL East. They're not going to do it. It's going to be the Braves and the Phillies, and I think it's going to be very close this year. I think the Phillies are going to be hot on the Braves' asses, and I wouldn't be shocked if the Braves feel the pressure and they stumble this year and the Phillies overtake them. But with that being said, there is a possibility the Mets could go in there and get a wild card. A couple comments here before I continue the old countdown. We got our good friend there, the fantasy football girl, saying, "Howdy, y'all. How you doing? Thank you for checking the show out. Thank you for commenting. I apologize for my voice. I'm pushing through it." Cowboy Dave says Diekman was a good pickup for the Mets. Absolutely huge pickup. Not only because he's a very good relief pitcher, but also he's a lefty. And we only had one coming into the season. That was Brooks Raleigh. So that lefty there is going to be huge for us. All right, so number 9. Man. Luis Severino will have a Cy Young type season. Not saying he's going to win Cy Young. But I do believe there's a chance he returns to form. A lot of weird things happened to the man last year. He returns to form. There is a chance he has a really good season. ERA under 3, low walks, high strikeouts, double-digit wins. So there's the possibility that he has the stuff for it. He absolutely does. So we'll see what happens there. Number 8, Francisco Lindor can win NL MVP. Absolutely can. One of the best fielding shortstops in the league. One of the best power bats in the league. He can steal bases, just like Acuna last season, right? Everybody talks about all the stolen bases and all the home runs. Lindor can do that as well. Lindor has every bit of that in him, just like Ronald Acuna does. Excuse me. Holy crap. And so I believe with the projections that I put out there, with Lindor hitting 277, 38 home runs, over 100 RBI, 30-plus stolen bases, if he's able to push those stolen bases up to 40, maybe even get the 40-40 mark, he absolutely can win an NL MVP. And I have no doubt, or at least get votes anyway. Number 7, Edwin Diaz gets Cy Young votes. An under 2 ERA, 50-plus saves. It's not out of the realm of possibilities. Absolutely not. He can absolutely do that. Number 6, Brett Beatty rebounds. And when I say rebounds, so for the season that Brett Beatty had last year, rebounding could mean anything. Him hitting 225 is rebounding from last year. But I think it's going to be better for him this year. I think we're finally going to see some of that power that he's shown down in the minor leagues. And I do believe he's going to rebound. I think he's going to play much better defensively than he did last year. I think we're going to see Brett Beatty turn into a professional baseball player this year. I think he's going to be our third baseman. Number 5, Starling Marte plays 100-plus games. This one I'm kind of iffy on. I don't know. With the last couple seasons with his injuries, it's hard to say that. But if he does, it's huge for the Mets. He was a huge catalyst for the Mets in 2022, getting that offense going. And then the team's offense kind of started struggling at the end of 2022 when he started getting hurt and started missing time. So it all coincides. He comes back healthy, the Mets will roll. The Mets offense will roll. Number 4, Jet Williams is called up. So not only Jet Williams, I should have kind of lumped a couple guys in there. I do think we're going to see either Drew Gilbert, Jet Williams, or Luis Angel Acuna sometime this season. I do believe they will be called up either because of injury or because the Mets are shit in the bed. So I do believe we're going to see those guys. I'm excited to see Jet Williams. I'm excited to see Drew Gilbert up, Luis Angel Acuna. I'm really excited to start seeing some of these prospects step in there and play. Now, Jet Williams, where would that be? Where would he play at? He's the shortstop. You have Lindor as shortstop, but he's also playing a little bit of center field as well. So Harrison Bader struggles. Tyrone Taylor is struggling. It's not out of the realm of possibilities that Drew Gilbert's called up. Jeff McNeil's their second baseman. Luis Angel Acuna is the second baseman. Do the Mets move, McNeil to the outfield and call up Acuna? Or to the Mets, we've heard that so much last year. Do they trade McNeil? I'm not for that at all. But do they trade him? That opens a spot for Acuna. I don't know. But I do think we're going to see those guys this year. A couple of the Mets' top prospects. Number 3, Kodai Senga has good follow-up season, double-digit wins and under 3 ERA possibility. Now, it all depends on when he comes back. So when he does come back, he's going to be pitching every 6th day, just like they did last season, and that worked out very well for him. And so it's going to be kind of hard for him to get the double-digit wins, losing the first 2 months or so of the season. But it's a possibility. Under 3 ERA, again, possibility. You always worry about that sophomore slump. Number 2, Christian Scott, one of the Mets' top pitching prospects, debuts and is dominant. I would not be surprised if one of these guys in rotation do struggle, like I've mentioned about Jose Budo or Joey Lucchesi being called up. I wouldn't be shocked at all if Christian Scott is called up this season as well, and we see him and he pitches awesome. It wouldn't surprise me at all. And I know the Mets fan base is really clamoring for this guy, really on edge. Can't wait to see him. Really excited to see Christian Scott play. So before I get to number 1, I'm going to read a comment here from Cowboy Dave. He said, "That's my problem with Phils. The Phils, I said last night on the show, to me, they don't have a permanent closer. The Mets do. I'm not sold on Alvarado. Just my take on it." I don't know what the Phillies have in their system. Did Alvarado close for them last year? I'm not even really sure. Was it a closer by committee kind of thing? That's what the Mets ended up doing last year. It was a closer by committee, and it worked out okay, but the bullpen wasn't all that great last year anyway. So, and on the top 10 list, my number 1 is Pete Alonso flirts with 50 home runs and re-signs in the offseason. It's a contract here for Pete. And I know Steve Cohen says that he's always open for talks during the season. And I thought I've also read where he said that he doesn't believe Pete will sign he doesn't believe Pete will sign during the season. It'll be not until the offseason. So I do believe Pete will get re-signed. Pete has expressed that he does want to be a Met. He wants to stay in New York. Wants to be a lifelong Met, play his whole career as a Met. Let's make it happen. That's all I can say. He's the face of your franchise right now. I think Lindor's your captain, but Pete's your face. So let's make it happen. A power hitter like this doesn't come along very often. He's been consistent his whole career. Now, again, his average was down a good bit last season. Let's see what he does this year with his average. I do believe he'll bring it up. I do believe he'll get more walks, cut down on those strikeouts, and we'll see what happens. Robbie Kelly checking in. Thank you for checking the show out, Robbie. He's saying the Phillies are closer by committee. That stinks. I don't like closer by committee. I hate it. It's always nice to know who you have coming in the ninth inning. It's 3-1. All right, it's Diaz time. You know what I mean? So it's always nice to have that guy that you can count on. That he's coming up. You're like, oh, the other team's in trouble. We have, Edwin Diaz coming up. The Phillies, I guess, don't have that. I don't even know if there's anybody out there really that they could go out and grab either. That's a true blue closer. They'd be foolish not to bring back Pete. I agree 100%, Dave. 100% foolish. There were some scenarios I talked about weeks ago of the Mets, potentially trading Pete at the trade deadline if the Mets are stinking, if they're shitting the bed, by trade deadline time, trade Pete away, knowing that he's not going to sign with anybody during the regular season, and then go back after him in the offseason, plus getting whatever you got for him from that other team. I don't know. I don't want to see that happen either, because that could really piss off the polar bear, and he won't resign anyway. He'll end up signing freaking like Philadelphia or Atlanta or something. Robbie says not a fan of it either. Should have went after Hader. Where did Hader go? Is he in San Diego, right? I think he's still in San Diego, or did he go somewhere else now? I think he was traded to San Diego last year, but I don't know if that was a long-term thing. Pete is the Mets right now, absolutely. Like I said, he's the face of your franchise. Pete Alonso is the face of the Mets. I do believe Francisco Lindor's your captain, but Pete's right there with him. Pete's the face. That's what everybody recognizes. That's everybody knows. And, he's right there behind Lindor as the captain, but he's 100% the face of the franchise. Jiminy Crickets. Hader went to the Astros. What a front runner. Douchebag. All right, so before I go, I'm going to go ahead and do a couple sponsor reads here. I'll be sure to check our sponsors out, especially Jay Fine Law, Jason Fine, attorney Big Al. You can reach Big Al at 1-800-HURT-123. That's 1-800-HURT-123. Big Al specializes in motor vehicle accidents, slip and fall, workman's comp, and personal injury claims. He has 3 office locations conveniently located throughout Pennsylvania and in New Jersey. The office in New Jersey is located at Cherry Hill, 3 Greensward Lane. The phone number there is 856-209-5258. Then in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the offices are located at 500 Grant Street, Suite 2900. The phone number there is 412-365-8151. And then in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the offices are located at 1628 JFK Boulevard, Suite 2120. The phone number there is 267-888-2980. That's Jason Fine, attorney Big Al. And once you get all your legal issues taken care of with Big Al, head on over to monkeycoatcoffee.com and get all your gourmet coffee needs and wants and needs there taken care of. Kind of jumbled that up a little bit. Apologies. They got bourbon chocolate chip infused coffee, which is awesome. Toasted coconut rum, which is my favorite. They have Sumatran blend, which is a medium roast coffee. They have an organic blend called Peru La Florida. And their newest flavor, Golden Honey Agave, which is very, very good. You'll get a shot of Jack Daniel's Honey Jack. Toss that in your golden honey agave coffee. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. They also are selling barrel-aged honey at monkeycoatcoffee.com as well. And be sure to check out all their swag in the swag shop. They got t-shirts, coffee mugs, tumbler cups, cold brew pitcher set, K-cup adapter, and don't forget to get yourself some Paradise rum cake at monkeycoatcoffee.com. And at checkout, use that promo code OOTB Sports for 10% off your order. That promo code, once again, is OOTB Sports for 10% off your order at monkeycoatcoffee.com. And I'll tell you what, one thing about monkeycoldcoffee.com, Monkey Cold Coffee, every coffee that I've tried so far, I tried all their coffee, except for Perula, Florida, has been fantastic. It's a good quality coffee. The cold brew pitcher set, super easy to use. I like that. The tumbler cup keeps your coffee super hot for hours and hours and hours. And the coffee mug is just kick-ass looking. The one thing about the t-shirts is they don't have fat guy sizes, but I just need to lose weight, right? That's not their fault. That's my fault. That's on me. We got a comment. Robbie Kelly says the barrel-aged honey is great. There we go. We got a barrel-aged honey guy. MonkeyColdCoffee.com. Did you try any of the coffee from Monkey Cold there, Robbie? If so, what's your favorite? So for me, shows coming up. Like I said, Friday night, 9 p.m. Myself, Paul Spencer, will be talking to Kelly Slaughter, the daughter of WWE superstar, Hall of Famer, Sergeant Slaughter. Sergeant Slaughter just had an awesome documentary biography released on A&E, which was awesome. So if you're a wrestling fan, especially in the 80s, early to mid 90s, G.I. Joe, cartoon fan, from the 80s, definitely check this out. We'll be talking to Kelly about her father's documentary there and what it was like, being a daughter of Sergeant Slaughter, growing up and stuff like that. That and much, much more. All sorts of questions. If you have any questions for Kelly or, whatever, don't be afraid to shoot him out there Friday night, 9 p.m. Then also Saturday, 10 p.m., I will be back on the Atomic Drop podcast talking WWE wrestling, the road to WrestleMania. So be sure to check that out as well. And I swear to God, I will get the silver and black layer in sooner or later. I'm going to try tomorrow morning, but I'm going to see what my throat feels like first. So there's a chance tomorrow morning I can do the silver and black layer. I will do it. Robbie says, I haven't tried the coffee yet. What do you recommend? Like I said, my favorite was a toasted coconut rum. The OG flavor is their bourbon chocolate chip flavor. Both are fantastic. Both are really, really good. Even their newest, the golden honey agave, is good. But I would go with the toasted coconut rum. To be honest with you, Robbie, the smell when it's brewing is just fantastic. The taste is awesome. You can't go wrong with it. So you make sure you use that promo code OOTB Sports for 10% off your order. And you won't be sorry. It's good stuff. All right, that's all I have for today. Thank you for bearing with me, everybody. I know I sound like crap, but I pushed through. I know you want to hear what the Bat Frie had to say about the Mets opening day tomorrow. So let's go Mets, right? Let's go Mets. Here's to a brand new season. Right now, everybody's 0-0. Everybody has a chance at the World Series. Let's get at it, right? All right. I will see everybody on the Batcave next Wednesday, 10 a.m. Same bat time, same bat channel. Let's go Mets.